Today we're going to talk about how we can limit the negative impacts by grey seals on the UK fisheries. UK fisheries are a large industry in the UK, employing over 28,000 people. Over 12,000 of those are active fishermen, with over 2,000 being part-time. The UK fisheries brings in over £600 million in gross domestic product each year. And the grey seal is the much larger of the two species. They are found around most of the British coastline, but especially in the Scottish Isles. They are internationally important in the UK because over 38% of the breeding stock actually inhabits the UK waters. Each year, the number of grey seals are recorded by the Scottish Marine Research Unit. These are done by pup counts and will be done from now on via aerial photography counts. The latest figures that we have are that there are over 50,000 grey seals around the British coasts. With such large numbers, this means that grey seals and fisheries often run into conflict. In Scotland in 2011, licences were granted so that seals that were becoming a nuisance and were destroying large catches could be culled if they were continually doing so. So, what are the answers? How do we actually help to limit the negative interactions and help the fisheries to not lose their catches and to increase their profit margins? So the first recommendation that we have is for fisheries to install acoustic deterrent devices, or otherwise known as ADDs. These are set at 40 megahertz and are able to deter seals from going in and stealing any of the fish that are caught in nets. And also for fisheries to install deterrent nets, which are double nets that help to stop the seals from being able to get in. ADDs have been shown to be extremely efficient at helping to protect nets, which seals can often rip through and ruin, and these nets cost the fisheries quite a lot of money to replace, and also to protect the stock from being eaten by the seals. These ADDs should be installed in every fishery, and this should be done with the help of the government in way of grants, bursaries, anything that will help to protect the stock, the equipment, and more importantly to limit the interactions between the grey seals and the fisheries themselves. Recommendation number 2 would be to follow scientific advice and lower the quotas for fishing. Recommendation number 2 would also examine the issue of discards. Discards are where once the quotas are met, lots of fish are thrown back dead. This is easy prey for seals and other predators, which means that they don't actually have to do much hunting and can easily increase numbers. The problem with this, I feel, is that the quotas aren't stopping fishing from happening, so rather than discards being just thrown back into the sea and being a waste, lower the number in the quotas and then do a taxation on the fish that are caught. The fish that are caught can then also be used for other means such as dog food, cat food, as well as looking at things such as the gutting, the remains of fish, rather than again being thrown overboard. These should be put to use. We've become such a wasteful society, it would be a shame to carry on this at the detriment of the ecosystem of the marine. Recommendation number 3. Further research is needed on the grey seals' feeding habits, both where they're feeding and exactly what they're feeding on. This could be looking at the stomach contents of dead seals that are washed up onto shore, seals that are caught up and drowned in nets, and also those that are shot by fisheries, such as the ones in Scotland. Should the stomach contents of the seals show that they are having a profound effect on cod stocks, then obviously the research and discussions around culling should be further investigated. If, however, they are found to be malnourished, then further research needs to be looked at as to how much commercial fishing is affecting marine wildlife. Recommendation number 4 would be to use aerial photography and marking as well as pup counts to establish population size. The problem that we have at the moment is that pups are counted, and this doesn't necessarily take into account pup mortality, which can be high. So areas such as Donanook, where they could be recruiting from other areas, they have large pup counts that might actually not be very accurate if a great proportion of these are dying. Grey seals are a well-loved part of our marine ecosystem by both young and old alike. If we work quite well with the wildlife trusts, scientific community, fisheries and government agencies, then there is no reason why we can't have a healthy marine population of grey seals, as well as a healthy fishing industry that can increase the economies on both the fishery front as well as the ecotourism front, where people will pay money to go and visit healthy seal colonies up and down the country. This will also help to increase employment prospects for not just the fisheries but also the tourism. So, why is there such a big deal about how much the seals eat? Well, it's thought that out of all the possible catch that the fisheries have, seals could take up to 25% in the wild. Now, 25% sounds quite a lot. However, if you got rid of the seals that caught or could catch 25%, the actual amount that was caught by that amount of seals would actually be a lot less. So why is there such a big fuss about what the grey seals are eating and how much they're eating? Well, it is thought that out of all the fish that the commercial fisheries are landing, another 25% of that possible catch is consumed by grey seals. Some people might argue, well, if we had 25% more in catch, that would be 25% more in profit. But what they don't seem to understand is what the grey seals are eating. The great majority of that, if you got rid of all the seals, would probably be far less than 25%, because they're also eating a lot smaller cod than would be of any use to the commercial fisheries.